Dave here, Darren over there. We're your two old bloggers, and today we've got a show for you. We got our three normal themes. First one, we're going to be talking about the energy and the attitude that seems to pervade Egan right now, and will that translate into different results? Let's hope so. Second theme we look into is, what are the odds of a first-time quarterback, or a first-time head coach, mind you, making the Super Bowl? It has happened before, so you know what that means. There's a chance. And thirdly, we're going to do a quick hit segment where we're going to hit on a couple different items. First off, Darren's favorite topic, Irv Smith. And then secondly, the whole saga and drama that happened this week with Kellen Mond, his dad, and about Mike Zimmer. But until then, enjoy the roll-in. Climb in the Pocket, Dave the Norseman, and Lake Monster Brewing presents Two Old Bloggers. Boom! And we're back. How are things in the Great White North there, Darren?
Warming up, Dave. I actually walked around in shorts this week for the first time in 8 months. Actually, longer than that.
So wow. It must be above freezing.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah, maybe not a whole lot above freezing, but it's all perspective.
Yes, it is. Because I remember being in North Dakota and it come out in the spring, and it was right around freezing, and we'd take out the garbage in our shorts and slippers. There might be 6 inches of snow, but it was freezing. It was right above freezing, and it felt warm. So it is about perspective. And so is your Minnesota Vikings, and we'll get into that. We flip over to this trusty scene. I see Drew has joined us. Good afternoon there, Drewster. Hope your hockey went well so far this weekend.
I don't think he has a rooting interest, Dave. The Sharks are long gone, but he's a hockey fan, true and true, and he just enjoys watching good quality hockey, of which there has been plenty lately.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Our first theme, we're going to start out, is we're going to talk about the attitude, the excitement, the whole vibe that's going on at Egan. Is a good thing.
It's a bit of a play on, David. Talked a few weeks ago about the everything is awesome vibe that was permeating from the new head coach and the new GM, and this was before the draft occurred, but hasn't really slowed down. I found since they got into OTAs, the positivity is still there. You got Viking vets who have been around the team a while, raving about Zadarius Smith, the big free agent signing, and how he's a guy that his attitude, his energy, his positivity is infectious during practice. You got Dalvin Cook talking about how practices are fun again. You got other vets raving, complimenting Kevin O'Connell and the staff about being very about the positive energy, the good vibe that's going on. Again, everything is awesome, and that's good. But will it translate? What is it going to mean on the field? Will it translate into wins? And I don't know. You don't know. Everything looks good now because there haven't been any games played. We haven't blown any leads and lost games in horrendous fashions. We have,
We've had no major injuries so far,
yeah,
knock
no
on
major
wood.
injuries, no off the field stuff to that they have to talk about and deal with. But I guess you know I still I really want to see where this vibe takes us. I think that if I don't have any stats to back this up, but I think you and a few of Drew will certainly agree is that it seemed like the last 2 years, particularly, the Vikings came out at games, and a lot of times they came out, they didn't look very sharp. They looked like they didn't have a whole lot of energy or purpose. They had pretty like stagnant, slow starts. It would cost them early in the game. They'd get behind or not really have that fast start you want to have. And I am interested to see whether the positive energy, with the players that look like they want to be there, they're enthused about the new coach, whether that can result in better starts. Again, no stats to back that up, but that's what it felt like to me. And I used to watch. I don't know if you did, Dave, but I like to watch the post game videos that the Minnesota Vikings webpage would put on after
Mhm.
games where Zimmer's talking to the team after a win, and I found that those videos were like very awkward. Like Zimmer would kind of put in kind of a half-ass, not very inspiring, like post game after a big win. Some of the players look like they're not paying attention. Very muted celebrations, not a whole lot of hooting and hollering. At least that's how I remembered it. And it you kind of made you wonder, like if the team really did they like their head coach? Did they enjoy playing for their head coach? Were they listening to their coach? Did they enjoy what they were doing? And I felt like to me like they didn't. And I think that if you're going into a game and if they're like that after a big win, what were they like before the game? you know?
And it's a great question. And we saw it too many times. Drew and I commented on it. You know, the offense might start out well because it started out on its first 15 scripted plays, right? Then it usually fall asleep. The defense, for so many times would allow the opposing team just to drive down. And it was like, oh, we're going to see what they're up to type deal rather than be aggressive. And they'd usually score. It drove us absolutely bananas. And there didn't seem to be the enthusiasm in the last couple of years that there was in the first chunk of 4 years. That, at a post game, even if they won, it was like great victory, guys, and everybody's doing their own thing or whatever. And it wasn't, you didn't have that feel. And maybe with, you know, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, that's coming back. There's a bunch of factors that we go into why it didn't go well. We've discussed them ad nauseum, but we do know that it wasn't for lack of trying, on the coaches' parts or the front office parts. They just turns out they didn't see eye to eye and believe all in the same things, and especially on how to get things done.
Yeah, David. I I wonder, if somehow if the I'm not saying rah rah speeches by the coach after the game or before the game or by the players or if they come out breathing fire. I'm not saying that that's going to always lead to a fast start and on both offense and defense and get the Vikings out to a quick lead and get them going in the right direction from the get-go. And I'm not saying that that's going to lead to a 17-0 season in 2022, but I do feel that if the team is coming out with more energy, if they're flying around from the get-go, if they really believe in what they're doing, then maybe that makes a difference of a 3 to 7 point difference at the start of the game. And the Vikings lost played a lot of close games last year, and they lost a lot more than the majority they lost compared to they won. And maybe that 3 to 7 points when your team is coming out breathing fire and flying all over the field, maybe that turns 3 or 4 of those what were losses into wins. And that's what I want to see if the positivity, if the vibe, if the players who are buying into what the coaches are teaching them and saying to them, and and how they're dealing with them, whether that really that does have kind of is that extra sauce, that's extra missing ingredient that we seem to be missing last year and the last 2 years. I'm interested to see how that all turns out. And I said a couple of weeks ago that the Vikings, the first 6 games, they have an opportunity with the slate of teams they're playing to get off to a good start, like a 4-2, potentially 5-1 start. And if you get that kind of start with the new coaching staff, I think that's going to carry this team a long way. And again, maybe the vibe, the energy, if they can keep that up and start games fast in the beginning, that'll be a bit of a difference maker in the Vikings season 2022 compared to the previous 2.
We hope so. We can't put up with a couple more years of the same old. It just Mike seemed to get grumpier and older as everything went. He's human, right?
Yeah.
You can't say he didn't care, because the man put in 18, 20-hour days and lived in the facilities trying to figure out ways to win. But the way he went about
do these days.
Yeah. But some of the ways he went about it and some of the personal vendettas that seem to have come out since point to human frailty. What's my word?
Frailties.
Frailties. And some bad juju that went up. And, of course, we know when it started. We dissected this 100,000 times. And it's a shame. But you're right. Look at that smile. Look at those smiles. Look at how they greet each other, when they see each other every day. If that oozes out to the rest of the team like it appears to be doing, you have positive energy rather than the grumpy old man that walks down the hall with a "get off my lawn" type look on his face. And it's much more pleasant to be at work, and you want to be there. And as Dalvin Cook said, it becomes fun. And it should be fun. It's a game. They are playing the best game in the world, right? At the highest level, making the most money, and it should be fun.
Yeah, good one, Drew. Ozzy Osbourne in charge of a spelling bee, put Clint Kubiak in charge of the offense. There's been a couple of comments made already about the lack of confidence that the fans, the people watching here had in like Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator, and even the defensive coordinators, which were, again, Zimmer's son, and then
Andre
Patterson.
Yeah, the whole...
And so the clean slate going on here, and I agree that especially on the offensive coordinator side, that you got O'Connell and Wes Phillips and the success that they had working with Sean McVay in Los Angeles the past couple of years, that I feel a lot better about them handling the offense than I do with Clint Kubiak, because Zimmer wasn't helping Clint Kubiak a whole much on offensive play calling or anything like that, because we keep on hearing he didn't care about the offense or care about the players who were playing on the offense, for that matter.
Well, I'm sure he cared about some of them, but we'll get into why some of that is. Tom put up Zim and Norv totally wasted Cordarrelle's career in purple. Yes, they did not utilize, and it comes down to a philosophy. If he could, they wanted him to run routes and run routes well. And that just wasn't Cordarrelle Patterson. Yeah, was he a great kick returner? He's an awesome kick returner. But he couldn't run routes well, so that stuck him in the doghouse, instead of trying to figure out, and this goes from Zimmer's stated philosophy that he learned from his dad, where you take the best thing of the players you have and you mold around that. Well, if they would have molded around what Cordarrelle Patterson does, is when you hand him the ball, he's dynamic, and use him that way, he would have had better results. And I think he got stuck in that. Purple Haze asked, why didn't the Wilfs take control of the debacle? Purple Haze, from what I'm being told, they were basically absent owners for the most part of last year. They hadn't a clue that the GM and head coach weren't talking for months. And that's a ginormous red flag. I mean, there should have been somebody in the building, a janitor, a secretary, or somebody that called up Mark and Ziggy and said, hey, we got a problem here. And that never seemed to happen. So,
But who's going to make that call, David? Right? Like I don't think if obviously Rick Spielman's not going to call and the Wilfs and say, you know,
no, that's why I'm
we're
saying it's got to be like a secretary
yeah,
or even a janitor, somebody on the press side, somebody in there. It could be on the business side of the building. You know, Brzezinski, somebody
yeah,
like
there.
that, call up and say, hey, there's shit that's not going right here. I don't want to speak out of turn, but, or shit, send an anonymous email. I don't care. Something should have been done to tell the Wilfs that this was an imploding disaster last year, and they didn't find out. They were surprised at the end of the year. Well, that says, now, obviously, they're busy with their soccer team and all their other investments and this and that and everything else. But when your crown jewel investment, right, the one thing that you aspire and are lucky enough to own, being one of 32 teams in the NFL and one of 31 that are owned by an owner, that's something that, granted, you have all these other interests that you're trying to foster and trying to earn money and trying to do things and trying to grow and everything else. But I'd still take that one, and that one would be my glass case, and that's the one I fucking polish every day, right? Make sure it's dusted, looks pretty, has the perfect lights on it. And if there's anything, fractionally wrong, I'm calling up to find out why. And it just didn't seem to happen.
No, and we don't know the insides, and you get a bit more intel than I do, Dave, on the inner workings of the Vikings. But you brought up Rob Brzezinski, and it's a bit surprising that if that didn't happen, that he didn't speak up about it, because he's a long tenured guy in the Viking front office. You think he'd have
well trusted,
well trusted, well respected, does a great job at what he does, and you think that he would have the I'm not finding the word, David, but you would think he would have the
personal
respect,
pride, at least,
yeah,
and
that he would have
saying, hey, I'm part of this. I want him to see it go well.
and I think that he would have the confidence that he could talk to the Wilfs, frankly, about something that serious, that the GM and the coach weren't on speaking terms and weren't aligned in just about anything they did when it came to getting players. So unfortunate situation, and it certainly led to the demise of both Rick and Mike Zimmer. I think I think, like you said, the Wilfs found out late, and they're probably like, they may have not had any intention of firing Spielman, but after maybe they felt
certain
that
things came out on a quick investigation, and it was like, no, he's gone too.
Yeah, like if we can't trust this guy to tell us something this serious, then we have to get rid of him as well as the head coach. The head coach isn't the only problem here. So,
yep.
But they did do those things, and we've got a new regime, and we're hoping for better results from them.
Now, on to theme 2. Theme 2, we're talking about, can Kevin O'Connell make the Super Bowl? What are the odds of a new head coach doing just that?
The odds are not very good, David. There's only been two first-time rookie head coaches in the history of the league who
since the
won
Super Bowl era.
Since the Super Bowl era that have won it, and that was 1970. A guy named Don McCafferty, who I'd never heard of, and then it was George Seifert in '89, who had like a ridiculously stacked team that he took over. Other than that, no rookie head coaches have won a Super Bowl, and since 2008. only one rookie head coach, that was Jim Caldwell, have even made the Super Bowl, and Caldwell lost that time to unfortunately the New Orleans Saints. The Colts should have actually been playing the Vikings, but those cheating
Mm-hmm.
bastards, the Saints, stole it from us. And even just getting to the playoffs, David, is hard for rookie head coaches. Since
Yes.
2008, it's like only 27% of rookie head coaches, first time head coaches, have made the playoffs.
I heard it's just
And
over 25%, but we're in that
yeah,
same ballpark.
yeah,
Yeah, it's rough.
and very few of them get out of the wild card round, if that. So difficult times. But is Kevin O'Connell going to be the guy that kind of bucks that trend?
Well,
And Vegas doesn't think very much about the Vikings' chances of winning the Super Bowl, but you know. There's a reason why rookie head coaches, I think, struggle to make the playoffs, and that's because they're inheriting a team that was bad enough to get the previous head coach fired and are often in a rebuild mode.
and when I talked
And
about this on Wednesday, I was trying to think off the top of my head which possible rookie head coaches made it. I came up with Barry Switzer. I looked since. I'm incorrect. Barry Switzer made it in his second season after taking over. Now, we talked about Don McCafferty, who's pictured here. Who's his quarterback?
that was what was his name? Matty?
No.
Tom Matty? I'm forgetting. It wasn't Johnny
That's
Unitas. I know
no,
that.
that is Johnny Unitas.
Was it?
Yes.
Because
He came in. Don Shula had left to go to Miami. Don McCafferty came in, inherited Johnny Unitas as his quarterback for that next year's Super Bowl. This then comes Seifert in the 70s. Seifert comes in. He's already got Super Bowl winning San Francisco, right? Bill Walsh retires. He takes over. Who's his quarterback winning the Super Bowl?
you see him.
You see him. Joe Cool.
Joe Hollywood.
Yep. Joe Montana. Now, you look at Johnny Unitas and you look at Joe Montana, both at the point in their careers where they were considered great quarterbacks, right? Future Hall of Famers.
We do not have that.
Well, there is
even Jim Caldwell, right? He had Peyton Manning
yeah,
as his quarterback.
There is some hope. Is Kirk Cousins, Johnny Unitas, or Joe Montana? Obviously not at this point. Could he be a late bloomer or develop into it? If Kevin O'Connell can unlock that. And the other key things to those guys coming in on their rookie seasons was they came into teams that were already built up, right? They didn't come in, like you said, in a complete rebuild mode. Their teams were already pretty much built up when they came in. I talked about Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer, even though he didn't make it his first year as a head coach, made it his second, came in on that legendary Dallas team with Troy Aikman as his quarterback, built up by Jimmy Johnson, and that was ready and raring to go. This team came in with the Vikings came in pretty much built up. You can question that on the defensive side somewhat because over the last 2 years, I'll take your word for it, Drew. The Getty images I took it off of said it was Johnny Unitas, but you could be right. And according to Pro Football Focus, it was Johnny U that won the Super Bowl. But this team is pretty much built up.
Yeah, the Vikings are not in a rebuild.
They're not.
Like O'Connell is not inheriting that kind of a team.
Right, which gives him a better opportunity, more than there's 275 coaches that came in since the Super Bowl era as rookie head coaches, and 2 of them made it to the Super Bowl for a 0.7% um, success rate. That's 0.7%. So it's minuscule. But a lot of the key factors that contributed to the two that did, i.e., the team being built up prior. Now, mind you, like I said, there was some deficiencies on the defense. I'm sure there were some deficiencies on the Colts and deficiencies on the Niners at the time. There is the possibility, if Kevin O'Connell can unlock this guy's brain, right? We know he has the physical talents. If he can do that, there's the possibility.
And it's not, Cousins, if Cousins is as good as a lot of fans think he is, even as good as we think he is at sometimes, if Dalvin Cook is as good as we think he is, if Thielen, if Justin Jefferson are as good as we think they are, if Eric Kendricks, if Danielle Hunter, if Zadarius Smith, if those guys, if you mention those guys' names to most football fans, they know who those players are, and they would say they're pretty good players. And Viking fans certainly know who they are, and they think they're pretty good players. Like if those guys are all as good as we think they are, and we've got a new head coach, new offensive scheme, new defensive scheme, again, the positivity and the vibe coming, some players ready to emerge again, and a different approach on how to relate to players and game plan with players. If that all translates, gets the most out of the roster, including these stud players that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that is the secret sauce that allows the Vikings to not only to either get to their first Super Bowl since 1976, which was a long time ago, or at least be able to be competing to get in there, seriously competing for the first time since 2017. That's what Kevin O'Connell represents right now. Like you said, the odds are very, very long that he is a rookie, first-time head coach, is going to get us to the Super Bowl and win it. But it's happened, and it could happen again, and maybe this is the year. Kevin O'Connell is the guy who can do that. He certainly knows what it's like to win a Super Bowl. He just did so.
Right.
So yeah, there's a chance. There's always a chance, but I certainly feel there's more of a chance this year than there was the previous two, because what was going on the previous 2 years was not working at all.
Yeah, you had dysfunction getting worse over the last years. Now, I hope so. I hope for you, me, Drew, Joseph, Jim, Jonathan, everybody that's watching. I hope so. We hope that this year is the year that we see a Vikings helmet parked in front of the Lombardi. Hope, positive vibes, attitude, yes. Energy,
woohoo, woohoo, yeah.
It all ties back. And is there a possibility? Oh, yes, especially the way the NFC is set up, that we get there. So, as Drew says, let's go. Let's win this. Absolutely, Drew. Absolutely. That brings us to my next favorite subject, Lake Monster beer. Lake Monster. It is getting warmer in Minnesota. However, you'll see, during the OTAs, sometimes they come out in jackets because it's cold. Sometimes they come out in T-shirts because it's hot. It's in that spring range where it's doing this thing. It's also the perfect time to quench your thirst. And if you want a good time, go to St. Paul, Lake Monster Brewing. It's right across the river from Minneapolis. You can go to the brew hall, have some of the best beer out there. They just came out with a new one this week. I saw on tap. Shot a friend. It is a dark ale. Comes in at a 10% ABV. Ooh. It is bourbon
strong,
barrel aged. And I'm telling you right now, Matt Lang, who's the brewmeister, I can guarantee that is outstanding. The one thing that goes with a perfect bourbon aged ale is a good cigar. And you can sit there out there in the common area outside, enjoy a great stick and a great beer in just the night, and it will be the best you ever had. I guarantee it. So Hey, like I said, Lake Monster rocks, and we appreciate them supporting Climbing the Pocket.
Thank you very much. Probably a good place to go visit on your Memorial Day weekend, David.
Yep.
So
Hey, if you want to salute some of the fallen, absolutely. Raise a pint and salute. They would have it no other way. On to theme 3. Like I teased, mom beer. Trust me, Purple Haze, a 10% ABV dark bourbon aged ale is not a mom beer.
You'll be calling for your mommy if you drink too many of them, probably.
Yes, you will. What else goes great with a cigar? Bourbon deep. You got that right, but that's, if you like beer and bourbon, try Lake Monster. It's awesome. If you're not there, Joseph has a good thing. Go bourbon deep because it is awesome. All right, what are your favorite topics, Irv Smith Jr.?
We're going in just a bit of a quick hitter here with because of OTAs going on and there's been a few developments, and since Irv Smith was the first guy that I featured a little while ago on breakout players, and that again the vibe, the talk about Irv Smith and the role he's going to have in the Vikings offense in 2022. We continue to hear noise about that, and that Kevin O'Connell has been mentioned him specifically a few times so far in the offseason, including during the OTAs. We know that Dalvin Cook and other teammates sound really stoked to have him back and healthy, and Kevin Seifert with ESPN, who's now the Vikings beat writer on ESPN. He had a column a couple of days ago focusing and looking at Irv Smith and what his role might be with the Minnesota Vikings in 2022. And really, so, what's a breakout year, David, for Irv Smith in 2022? I don't think it is he's going to get Travis Kelce numbers, 90 plus catches, over 1,000 yards, and that sort of thing. That's a lot.
Especially with all the other weapons we have.
Well, exactly. And, if Irv Smith was getting that amount of volume, I'd be a bit worried about the Vikings offense, because I'd be wondering, well, what the hell is Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne and Dalvin Cook doing? How come, they are more of the centerpieces? So that would be a question I would have. You got to think those guys might be hurt or things just aren't going right.
Either that or we're scoring 50 points a game, baby!
Yeah, 1998 all over again.
That's right.
But I think that, a breakout year for Irv Smith, considering he's only, never had just north of 30 catches his 2 years that he did play. I think that a breakout year for Irv Smith is, he gets this around 60 catches or so, but Tyler Conklin had 61 this year, so everybody's going to say, well, what's the big deal? Well, with me, Irv Smith, it'd be more quantity over quality. So yeah, he gets his 60 catches, but he's more explosive with the catches than Conklin was. More yards after the catch, more yards, just when he catches the ball, and more red zone targets and more touchdown catches, because Conklin only had 3 last year, I think. If Irv Smith gets 7, 8, or 9 with the 60, and he's more explosive and has a higher average yard per catch average, then to me that he's fulfilling that role in the offense and having a breakout year, because he's getting those numbers. And then again, the opposing defenses have got to deal with Justin Jefferson. They got to deal with Dalvin Cook. They got to deal with Adam Thielen. They got to deal with KJ Osborne. All of those things. So to me,
if Kirk threw 35 touchdowns last year, you add those touchdowns onto some of that 35, because I don't think that'll go down, and you're scoring 40 plus touchdowns, and if we're lucky, close to 50 plus touchdowns, and then we're getting close to that 40 to 50 points a game, baby.
That's right. Yeah, which will mean a lot of W's for the Vikings if that
Mhm.
goes down. But to me, that's what a breakout year for Irv Smith looks like. And I don't think he has to get 80 catches or 75 to 85 catches next year to be the tight end we want him to be. I think
Mhm.
he just got to do a lot with the catches he does get, with the touches he does get, and be just one of many weapons that we're utilizing on a regular basis with this new offense and this new offensive minded coach. That's what I'm looking for from Irv Smith. Not huge volume numbers, but nice
Quantity and
quality,
quality, and yeah,
yeah, quality to go with the quantity.
gotcha. Well, that moves us on to the next little tidbit. Your magical mystery tour.
With yes, last year's magical mystery tour with Kellen Mond. Um, we know last year, David, that Kellen Mond had a very disappointing rookie season. Looked terrible out there when he did play. To be frank,
Mm-hmm.
didn't provide me with. He showed me nothing. He was a guy that I was very happy the Vikings drafted in the third round, and I had high hopes for him. And after watching him as a rookie, I had very low hopes for him. But now we're starting to find out maybe there were some other reasons why he struggled as a Viking, as a rookie. You've got one of the tweets from Chris Thomason on
And there
there
was a
who,
whole slew of them, folks.
yeah,
Um,
and we know Thomason loved this because he's sticking it to Zimmer
yes.
with these tweets. But you know, we're learning from Mond and from Mond's dad, and again, you got to take the source as it were. Obviously, Kellen Mond's dad is not going to be too favorable. Is going to show a lot of love to his son.
Well, hey, now
But
I have a question, and I stuck it in the description. What is it with dads now becoming involved? Whether we've had it a few times where the dad says, "Well, this is what actually happened." The dad said. The dad said. The dad. The press goes to the dad because the dad said. Dad said. That never used to happen. Did you ever hear Kyle Alzado? They call me the assassin. That his dad says the press is picking on him because he hits too hard. No, you didn't hear that sort of shit. Man up. If you got an issue, you got an issue. At least Kellen Mond says, hey, I've got an issue. This is what happened. I didn't get exactly what I was originally promised by Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer obviously didn't want me. I got COVID. I didn't get the shot, which obviously Mike Zimmer we lauded for being a huge advocate for. He didn't get the shot because he got COVID. He lost 15 pounds in muscle mass, right? Because
which
he
is a
got real
lot.
sick, which is a lot. And he got weak, and his throws were extremely weak, right? So he was basically injured for all intents and purposes. If your kicker pulls a hammy, you're not going to go out there and he can only kick 30-yard field goals. You're not going to go out there and bitch about him because he can't hit a 50-yarder because he's hurt. Kellen Mond was hurt last year because he lost so much weight. He was in a weakened state. He now needs to recover. That has happened over the offseason. He's back up. He's stronger. He's better. He's put that weight back on. So on a physical reasoning, it makes sense that he sat because he couldn't do it. He was physically not strong enough and well enough to take over. And everybody complains that we didn't get, well, at least we didn't get to, we wanted to see him, see what he's got. Would you want to see a field goal kicker kick with a torn hammy? No, you want to see him kick healthy. We now get to see him healthy. And from what I gather, what's happening at camp, he's looking pretty good and he's making decisions. The big part of this, right, Drew, with your mind and your brain and your head, he's making those decisions a lot faster. And that's what comes with coming into the pros, that you learn that the game is so super fast. When it starts to become instinctual and everything slows way down, that's a good thing. And I guess from what I hear, the reports we're hearing out of Egan, that is actually what is happening. And that he is actually in the running to take over Mannion's job as number 2 quarterback.
That would be awesome. But David, these tweets and the things that Kellen Mond himself said, when imagine, Kellen Mond was a very accomplished college player at Texas A&M, and very experienced. Played a ton of games, played a ton of football. Didn't always play great football in some games, but even so, he's coming in. If you're a rookie, imagine you're a rookie, you're going into a very cutthroat league, you're trying to find your way as a professional. I'm sure like 99.9% of rookies, no matter how accomplished they were at college, they got to come into the pros with some doubts about what their future is going to be, what their career is going to look like at the pro level, because they are playing against the best of the best at this point. They're playing against guys who are playing on Sundays all the time, not at college where they're playing against a lot of guys who are not going to be playing on Sundays anymore.
Right.
So you've got that as Kellen Mond. So how are you going to feel if you're trying to find your way as a rookie and your head coach like holds a grudge against you because you got COVID and weren't vaccinated, and also didn't want you to be, that he didn't want to draft you in the first place, and he doesn't even talk to you the whole year.
Right, because he's trying to stick it to Rick Spielman. That's the frailties of the human being, holding the grudges. This is stuff that should have never happened, especially by men this age. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't excuse totally Mond's poor play. I mean, you got to have mental toughness as an athlete. You got to know things aren't going to go right at the pro level. You got to know you're going to be challenged at the pro level. But it didn't help Mond that his head coach, again, invested absolutely no energy or in him at all. It also makes you wonder, as I've said before, like how much development was he actually getting from the rest of the staff?
Right. You would at least think the quarterback's coach, offensive coordinator, and stuff like that would have been deep into training him. They could be focused on the day-to-day stuff with Kirk Cousins, even with Sean Mannion as the backup and putting in the plan, but they should have set aside an extra hour a day or whatever it is for Kellen Mond QB school. If anything, hey, you may not be strong now because you're weak because you had COVID and stuff, but here, let's teach you the concepts. Let's teach you the decision making. You can still take a snap and come back, look around. What happens if this linebacker drops this way? Or, what are the reads? And go through all those steps to help him grow. You would want the head coach to also partake in that, but you would expect at least, like I said, the offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach, and any other coaches that are involved in that to do that. And it just didn't seem to happen.
No, and so it's I think that played a part in Mond's rookie year and his struggles. Wasn't the complete reason for that, but it certainly didn't help. But what will help is this year he actually has a head coach who, again, like Irv Smith, has specifically mentioned and gone out of his way to talk about Kellen Mond. And is an offensive-minded head coach who I think has got a plan for developing Mond, and they're going to invest the time and resources needed to see what they have in Mond. That wasn't happening last year, and so I think, if nothing else, that's 100% better than what Mond was dealing with last year, and it's got to help him develop as a professional in year 2. And again, they've told him that he has a shot at the backup job. I don't think he ever got told that last year. So I think there's a lot of positives right now, like off the field for Kellen Mond, that will basically, there's no excuses for him either this year if he plays poorly, because he's got the backing of the coaching staff, something he didn't have last year. And he seems like he's in a much better mental headspace than he was as a rookie. Again, Drew mentioned a comment about it's concerning with the level playing in the SEC that he looked as bad as he did last year as a rookie. Mac Jones didn't look like that. Mac Jones looked like he belonged from the get-go.
Right.
Kellen Mond did not. But I think everybody considered Mond was more of a developmental guy than Mac Jones anyway. But
Right.
I feel much better about Mond's chances of developing, and that the Vikings will get the best out of him, whatever that is this year, than what happened last year. And part of it is because of, again, that he's got the backing, at least right now, of the coaching staff and is not being ignored by the coaching staff. Last year, neither of those things were the case.
Right, because the head coach and the GM were pissing at each other, and it just disgusting. And Joseph,
So
you're
excited.
right. They only had time to script the first 20 plays. That seems ridiculous to me. You got a whole freaking book of them. You should be able to come up with a whole bunch of them, and then a bunch of new ones on top of that. Knowing, how you did your scout on whatever team. Let's see if this works. Da da da. And it seemed dysfunctional on the offensive side. That only 15 to 20 plays. But G-Mac, good to see you, buddy. Well, I think Kellen Mond is a lot happier, and that does it for our written topics of the day. Everybody that's watching, listening, please smash that like button. Subscribe if you already haven't. Ring the damn bell so you get every update of Climbing the Pocket. Climbing the Pocket is slowing down. It's the off season. And we expect that. We have some guys that are avid doing work, and others that are just, not as much as Dave, the producer, would like. So, but I do have an announcement on shows next week so far, and that
hardest working man in show business.
And that is Tyler Fornes, the real Forno, will not have a live show on Monday. He is going to try to record something, but he will not have a live show on Monday. If he records something, we will put it up. He's got some things going on. It is the Memorial Day weekend. And remember, Memorial Day, as much as you want to say thanks for your service, is not for those that served. It is for those that died while serving in combat. I have a few friends that are on that list. Ted Glover, who's heading up to Canada, if he's not there already, or I know has a few friends on that list as well. It is a sort of a rough day for us because we remember those guys, but those guys would want you not only to remember them, but to also go out and have a great time, drink beer, have a barbecue, have some hot dogs, hamburgers, grill a steak, have some fried walleye. It is fishing season, or go play an awesome round of golf. And if you're thirsty, Lake Monster beer. Honest, that's what it's for. So, have you got any plans this weekend? I know it's not Memorial Day up in Canada.
Oh, tomorrow I'm hoping to get out and play a little bit of tennis, actually.
Ooh.
So,
stay in
tennis
shape.
season. Tennis season. I went out this week, and the rust was
evident.
Very, very evident. So
I haven't played tennis in decades.
And I've got a tennis tournament next weekend, and I ain't going in it if I play like I did on Thursday.
We should go in the old fart category. Old and rusty.
There is none.
There is none? Okay.
No. I got to play against 15-year-olds or 50-year-olds, just whoever comes my way.
Okay, gotcha.
Anyway, so that's my plans for tomorrow.
That should be fun. Hey, everybody. Have a great weekend. What do we say, Darren?
We say, Dave, Skol Vikings. That's what we say.
Skol Vikings! Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a special shout out goes to our partners, the Daily Norseman, where the best Vikings content can be found, and to Lake Monster Brewing, home of the best beer in Minnesota. Skol, everybody.